Hello and welcome to episode number 37 of No Whining. We are starting our 7th wine list today. We're going to do it a little bit different because when you're drinking different wines, you want to start with the lighter bodied wines and go to the more intense, kind of fuller bodied wines. And typically, white wines are going to be, again, not quite as full-bodied, and then you move to the reds, which are going to be a little bit heftier. But today, we are going to be having a sweet wine, and so we're going to start out with our red wine first. Okay, here we go. This is a 2021 Torre Zambra Collemagio Montepulciano d'Abruzzo. This is a $20 bottle of wine, and this is coming from Villa Magna DOC, which is a specific appellation within the larger Montepulciano d'Abruzzo area in central Italy, and this is, once again, a Mediterranean climate. Just a couple episodes ago, in episode number 35, we also had a Montepulciano d'Abruzzo wine, so this is our second one in not too long of a time span, and one of the things we mentioned back in that episode was that Vino Nobile, the Montepulciano wines, are made with Sangiovese grapes, not Montepulciano. So it's a little bit confusing because then you have Montepulciano d'Abruzzo wines that are actually made from the grape Montepulciano. All right, here is some information from the Torre Zambra website. It says the Torre Zambra estate lies on the first plot cultivated by the family from 1910 onwards, and it was one of the most historic cellars in Abruzzo. The winery vineyards are located in the hills with a perfect southeast aspect at 400 to 650 feet altitude. Soils are clay and limestone, rich in humus and nutrients. The proximity of the sea and the mountains creates swift day-night and seasonal temperature changes that are the secret behind the truly fragrant white wines and the complex, extremely cellarable reds. All right, so organic grape growing is clearly a central tenet for this winemaker across their vineyards. If you just look them up online, it's very apparent. And they've been certified organic since 2018. All right, some more information I found out online. Vinification. Maceration on the skins for 45 days. Fermentation took place in stainless steel tanks at 82.5 to 86 degrees Fahrenheit. Aging took place in concrete vats for 6 months in 20% first use and 80% second use French and Slavonian oak for 6 months, and then in bottle for 4 months. Okay, let's get into our first wine of the episode. All right, this wine is clear. In other words, it's not hazy or cloudy. It's a very, very deep ruby color. You can see just a little bit of staining of those tears coming down, and I would say that this is high viscosity on the sides of the glass. Let's send it to the schnoz. All right, this wine is clean. It's developing. It has only medium intensity aromas starting with stewed blackberry. All right, baked black cherry, black plum, a little bit of bramble fruit in here. Violet, prune, vanilla, a little bit of allspice as well. Also coming through is a little bit of pine and potting soil. Okay, I think that's it for the schnoz. On to the jaws. This wine is dry. It's got a nice full body on it, high alcohol for sure, medium in terms of acidity, and then it's got this high levels of these nice, ripe, kind of soft, chalky tannins. Medium intensity of flavors, which matches, the intensity on the nose, and then the finish is not spectacular. It's like a medium length finish. So this wine, I would say, is classified as good. I don't think it's suitable for aging in bottle really any longer. I don't think it's going to improve a whole lot. So I think this is more one of those drink now type of situations. So it's a good wine, not great. Let's see what our second wine has to bring us. This is a 2022 Domaine de Fenouillet Muscat des Baumes de Venise. This is around $25. It's a cute little bottle. It's actually only 500 milliliters instead of the normal 750, but it's a sweet wine. So maybe they figure you don't need quite as much. Also, sometimes they're a little pricier, so it helps with that aspect of it to put it in a smaller bottle. This is coming from the Baume de Venise appellation in the southern Rhône Valley and is made from the grape Muscat Blanc au Petit Gant. Information from some notes that I found online is as follows. The Muscat grape is best when planted in poor, sandy soils in Domaine de Fenouillet. The grapes for this cuvée are selected after a series of passes through the vineyards to pick the grapes at the proper level of maturity, with the desired balance between sugar and acid. The fermentation at low temperatures to best preserve the enchanting aromas of the Muscat grape is stopped at the point where the alcohol-sugar balance is as desired. Now, the fermentation, when they talk about it being stopped, what they're referring to is it's stopped by fortifying the wine with a 96% alcohol by volume grape spirit before the wine has fermented to dryness. So instead of letting the yeast consume all the sugars and convert it all to alcohol, which means there's no sugar left because it's all been converted to alcohol, that process is truncated by the addition of the grape spirit, and therefore you wind up with a wine that at the end of the day has a bunch of residual sugar. Now, fortified Muscat wines usually spend just a little bit of time soaking on the skins prior to the fermentation itself, and are most often aged in stainless steel. These practices help to enhance and preserve, respectively, Muscat's classic floral and grapey aromas. All right, let's get into our second wine of the day. Alrighty, whitey tighty. This wine is clear, it's a medium gold color, and it has high viscosity. Let's send it to the schnoz. This wine is clean. It is youthful for sure, and that's how this style is supposed to be. And it has medium plus intensity aromas of, wait for it, yeah, these classic aromas of orange blossom, of Muscat, right? Like that grapey aroma, and a little bit of rose is in here as well. Lovely so far. Let's go back in. The only other things I'm really getting from this are like peach and tangerine, so not exceptionally complex, but the aromas are really well defined, and so that is very nice. Let's go to the jaws. This, ladies and gentlemen, is a sweet wine. Full body on it, high alcohol too. It's got to be pretty up there. Yeah, 15%. Wow, there we go. The acid, however, is low. So that's very interesting to take note of. We'll circle back to that, I think, in a moment. The flavors, medium plus intensity, just like they were on the nose, and the finish, it's not exceptionally long. I would say I'll give it a medium plus. So this wine is very good. It is not something, however, that I think you should like age and bottle any longer than it already has been. And that's not the style of this wine. These are like supposed to be sort of not aged, really very youthful presentation. And if you age this any longer, especially with those low acidity levels, I think what you would start to do is lose that vibrant, bright, beautiful floral and fruit aromas that are coming through and flavors. So this is not something to age any longer. Both these wines actually share that in common. So let's bring both of these in and pick ourselves a winner. Which one did you like? Which one did you like? These are very, very different wines. And sometimes that contrast is really nice because it helps accentuate the qualities of one wine. But again, you would want to go in this case, starting with the red wine and then moving to the white because it's so sweet and so rich. All right, let's pick one of these. Let's pick one. I'm going to give the win to the Muscat de Domaine de Fenouillet. This is just a better wine. It is. Again, it's not exceptionally complex in terms of having lots of different things going on, but the things that it does have going on, it's got it going on, you know. This Montepulciano d'Abruzzo, I think, is a good wine, but it's also very forgettable. So that is where I stand with that. Make sure that you check out the links I put in the description because, again, putting some videos in here to give you guys additional context and a little bit of a better feel for the country, the area, the appellation, the land, the vineyards, the winemakers themselves that are putting their blood, sweat, and tears into the final product that you get to enjoy. All right, I hope you enjoyed the start to wine list number 7 and episode 37, and I will see you back here in the next one.